Well, good morning, everyone. As Sam has already said, I'm Dr. Robert Stevens, co-founder and medical director of the Men's Health Clinic in Dorset. So firstly, thank you for inviting me to talk to you on this important day. I've been looking forward to this and dreading this. But as Genghis Khan said, if you're afraid, don't do it. If you're doing it, don't be afraid. So here we go. I've also got a little bit of man flu, so do forgive me. It's worse than normal flu, and the reality is there is some science behind that. You're not an effective hunter if you've got the flu, so you're not supposed to go out and hunt. So we specialise in diagnosing and managing men with testosterone deficiency with testosterone replacement therapy. So essentially, restoring men's testosterone levels for health and well-being. We're now also seeing females because, interestingly, females need HRT, and that includes testosterone and estradiol. So it's not just estradiol for females, interestingly, and they actually have more testosterone than they have estradiol. A little known fact. So, I'm proud and humbled to know that our clinic attracts patients from all over the world. 50 different countries, including the USA, where testosterone is everywhere. It's in part due to my noddy YouTube channel, where I add a level of authenticity and realism to what is a very cell world. I'm prone to a bit of effing and blinding, and the woke crowd probably won't like me because I'm politically incorrect, but I think I'm politically correct. But I will do my best to resist saying anything controversial. So I'm going to talk about something that most people misunderstand. Testosterone. Surprise, surprise. So not as a performance enhancement drug, not as an alpha male status enhancer, but as one of the most important hormones for, guess what we're going to be talking about today, mental health. Testosterone is literally the foundation hormone. Social media would have you believe that men have it easy, but there's an alarming statistic. 3/4 of all suicides are in men. Let that sink in, because suicide defies what should be your natural instinct to survive. So what the hell is wrong with our society that men find peace from taking their own lives? It's disgusting. So also, 1 in 6 adults in the UK are on an antidepressant. That is, again, a very depressing statistic. So what do antidepressants do? Well, they raise serotonin. This is your calming neurotransmitter. But raising serotonin doesn't really help men because we are dopamine driven. Testosterone and dopamine have a complex relationship, but they work hand in hand to create that sense of drive, determination, and reward. Earn your reward. Yet most GPs mislabel testosterone deficiency as depression and still prescribe antidepressants, which might numb the system, but they don't address the cause. So why are firefighters so susceptible to anxiety, depression, and PTSD? Why are you not strong enough to cope with what you wanted to do, you trained to do, and you're doing? Well, it's basic physiology. You're running towards danger as opposed to away from it. It doesn't make sense, even with your training. You are seeing people at their most desperate and irrational, and having to be strong when all around you are weak. It must take its toll. So, how common is low testosterone? Well, the stats say 1 in 4 men over 40 have low testosterone, and from 35 years onwards, levels are estimated to drop by 1 to 2% each year. So what's gone wrong? We live in a sick society. Is it a direct result of your actions, or is it reflective of the environment that we now live in? Well, the answer is obviously both. Now, you guys have a high-stress job. Shift work is not good for your body. It messes with your circadian rhythm, day, night, day, night. Add in negative behaviors such as excess alcohol, and guess what? The end result can be low testosterone. So, what does testosterone really do? Is it just about sex and muscles? Well, yeah. Testosterone is your primary male sex hormone. It is your primary anabolic hormone necessary for growth and repair to help your body function, but it impacts absolutely everything within your body, all of your organs, and perhaps most importantly, your brain. So when I explain this to my patients, I talk about a pyramid. The hormones form the base, your acute nervous system is above that, and your reactive brain sits at the top of the pyramid. You are nothing without your hormones. So we're going to go a bit off kilter with a bit of yin yang, something you'll never see in the medical textbooks, and a bit of philosophical quotes come later on. So you have two processes, anabolic and catabolic. Your anabolic processes predominate at nighttime. You're essentially repairing from the day to prepare for the next day, day, night, day, night. Now you need both and they must be in balance. But cortisol will always dominate. You break down faster than you rebuild without adequate testosterone levels. When your testosterone's healthy, you adapt, you recover, and you can rebuild for the next day. Cycle repeats. So this diurnal pattern, day, night, day, night. You can start to see why shift work is not going to be good for you. And really, we are pretty simple creatures, men. So, in the day, you are pretty cortisol dominant. Cortisol and testosterone work as natural opposites, but they also work synergistically together. Now, cortisol, as we said, is your primary stress hormone. Catabolic breaks down its activity. Testosterone is anabolic, rebuilds and restores. But cortisol will always win if stress is constant. And let's be honest, your jobs are pretty stressy. You're exposed to massive adrenaline dumps, followed by long periods of nothing, but you've got to stay alert with nothing happening. Even off duty, your system doesn't switch off easily, and it's because you've always got to be ready for something to happen, and it's always an extreme situation. So this is why testosterone, paradoxically, is the calming hormone. It's the calming yin to cortisol's raging yang. Now, this is where it gets properly interesting, neuroendocrinology. Now, we've mentioned at the start, testosterone has a relationship with dopamine, the neurotransmitter for reward and motivation. Estrogen, I hate saying that word, estrogen, a metabolite of testosterone, links to serotonin, empathy, understanding, and connection. And DHT, dihydrotestosterone, another testosterone derivative, links to GABA, a calming neurotransmitter. All of those hormones have to be in balance for you to be in balance. Now, as we said before, testosterone. We are dopamine driven. Men are dopamine driven. That's why we're goal orientated. That's why we take hopefully calculated risks. It's also why when testosterone lowers, your dopamine follows and you start to lose motivation and drive. You exist, but you don't live. Does this sound familiar? Yes, no, no, yes, no, yes. Right, so how do you cope with feeling rubbish? Quick show of hands. How many of you have cracked open a beer at the end of a night shift? Must be more than that. No? You're a healthy bunch, aren't you? Anyway, let's move on. So listen, alcohol, drugs, gambling, they all numb the system, but they don't treat the cause. So from a base survival perspective, it's quite normal to reach for quick fixes, especially when the body's dysregulated. But here's the truth, you can't cheat consciousness. Your body will always keep the score. You can't keep abusing your body, whether that's bad habits or just the stress of the job, and not pay the price. So, what are the four main symptoms of low testosterone? Well, testosterone improves how your body functions, but the symptoms are primarily psychological because you can't separate physiology from psychology. Low mood, as we said before, suicidal ideation in lots of patients, unfortunately. Tiredness, brain fog, low libido. All of these symptoms have numerous causes. Tiredness is over 100. But together, these symptoms are often mislabeled as depression, burnout, or natural aging. But we now hopefully know better with increased information and awareness about testosterone's importance in both physical and psychological well-being. Now, testosterone deficiency can be a miserable existence. Too many of my patients have admitted to suicidal ideation prior to treatment. I kind of liken it to tethered swimming or just walking in treacle. Everything is hard work. So what causes low testosterone? Well, we've been over a few of these already. Stress, poor sleep, negative behaviors. Ironically, the prescribed antidepressants for your depression can cause testosterone deficiency. They interfere with serotonin. It's a fine balance that shouldn't be dysregulated. But the list goes on. Now, we live in a sick society. Endocrine dysregulators are everywhere, chemicals in plastics, food, the environment. Again, the list goes on. We're fighting an uphill battle, so we need to take charge. So what do? Well, we start by addressing the 4 pillars of hormonal health. Lifestyle, obvious, managing stress, obvious, managing sleep, obvious, minimizing alcohol intake. Nutrition, you've heard that saying, you are what you eat, but you are what you eat. So what you put in your body turns into you. So I advocate a low-carb, high-fat diet, real food obviously, not artificial junk, intermittent fasting, and supplement where necessary. So vitamin D, zinc, omega-3, creatine are all important for testosterone production. Exercise. Resistance training is best, and high-intensity interval training. Balanced again with recovery, yin-yang. Most men, especially our military personnel, try to out-exercise their demons. But number 4 is mindset. So living by principles and not rules. Now, I quite like the 80-20 principle. Do the right thing most of the time and your body will thrive. There's a little devil inside all of us and he's got to be fed every once in a while. So give your body what it needs, not necessarily what your confused mind wants. We need to understand physiology. So you've addressed all of these 4 factors: lifestyle, nutrition, exercise, and mindset. But there's something still wrong. So it could be testosterone deficiency. If your testosterone is clinically low, the aim of treatment is to just normalize your levels, not high, not low, normalize for you, the individual, and hopefully reverse those negative symptoms that you've presented with. It then becomes about being the best version of yourself. And that's down to you, which is why we go back to earn your reward all the time, because it's down to you to take personal responsibility and accountability for your health. So as a clinic, we've pioneered the microdosing TRT methodology. This best mimics the natural production of testosterone within the body, with the primary aim of restoring testosterone levels to where they should be. So once you fix your physiology, is this the end of the story? Well, of course not. It's then your duty to find meaning and purpose. And if you've watched The Jerk with Steve Martin, perhaps even your special purpose. Has anybody seen that film? Nobody's seen it? Have you seen The Jerk? Do you get the reference? Special purpose. Sex. He has sex and then there's a, listen, watch the scene, it's wicked. YouTube, The Jerk, special purpose. I won't say the end bit, but I'm getting a head shake. No, don't say the end bit. Okay, but what? It's fucking hilarious. Okay, so where have I got to? But with healthy testosterone levels, really it's the foundation for you to work and reap your reward. I shall say this only once and only once. We are perhaps less important than females, which is why we need to make ourselves invaluable. Let your behaviors impact your emotions. Do not let your emotions blunt your adventures. It was Greek mythology. Pandora opened the box and released all of the evils into the world: disease, misery, death. But only one thing remained: hope alongside humanity. So we are all a constant work in progress. We're all walking wounded. Firefighters perhaps face more extreme challenges than most. It's risk versus reward. What you do matters, but it takes its toll. This simply means you've got to work harder than the next person. It is what it is. So I'd like to play our promo video to essentially demonstrate to you that we practice what we preach and aim to lead by example.
I started my TRT journey wanting to improve my physical health. I live by the mantra, healthy body, healthy mind. Exercise was my antidepressant. Work hard, train hard. You've heard it all before. However, low testosterone robs me of that. We are physical beings in a world full of psychological stress. At our core, we are still hunter-gatherers. We are animals seeking reward. I believe we need to live more according to our physiology to improve our psychology. Your body couldn't care less about your emotions. It simply wants you to survive. We need daily practices in place to combat the madness. So wake up and start building little wins. Breath work. How basic yet fundamental to life is breath. Inspiration, sympathetic, fight, flight. Expiration, parasympathetic, rest, relaxation. Cold water therapy. It forces you to control your breath and clear your mind. You are overcoming adversity. You begin to realize and relish that you are stronger than your overly protective inner voice. Take a semblance of control back. You are the alchemist. You can then slowly learn to trust your instincts. But of course, live according to principles, not rules. Physical activity is a necessity. Movement is life, and boredom is the devil's playground. Learn to find comfort in discomfort. Effort is an essential part of earning your reward. Life is about trusting the journey, not rushing to the destination. It is a rite of passage. It's about appreciating contrast. Testosterone replacement therapy is not just for grumpy old men, nor is it for young men simply aspiring to have a godlike physique. It's about restoring balance within the body to help you cope with the chaos of the modern civilized world. TRT is not a cure-all, fix-all. It is, however, the necessary foundation to allow you to fix yourself. You need to take personal responsibility. You need to put the work in. There are no days off in Mother Nature. TRT should be hormone replacement therapy, and microdosing TRT is the future. Testosterone is important. It is the calming hormone. It is perhaps a cruel irony that the universe is infinite, yet our time on this planet is finite. But stop feeling sorry for yourself. We're all walking wounded, so stand up and decide today is the day. Treat challenges as opportunities and lead by example. Remember to make sure you appreciate every single moment and enjoy the ride. Be the director of your own real-time movie. Ultimately, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
So nothing's changed really. Our philosophy, ethos hasn't changed from day one. It is all about earning your reward and being the best version of yourself. And ultimately, you taking that personal responsibility and accountability for your actions. But you do have to occasionally ask for help. We focused on physiology and to an extent psychology, and we've delved even a little bit into philosophy. But fundamentally, testosterone isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to who you really are. So men need a healthy body, a healthy mind, a sense of community to thrive in a challenging world. Thank you for what you do, for running towards danger so others don't have to. And thank you for listening. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, or if we'd rather chat one-to-one afterwards, that's absolutely fine as well. We now have Craig, who's very kindly come from Cornwall to have a chat with you guys about his experience with testosterone deficiency and testosterone replacement therapy. So round of applause for Craig. Thank you.
Probably the best place to start is the fact that at probably age 45, I just noticed something wasn't right within me. Everything that Dr. Rob's mentioned today was kind of like the symptoms that I was facing. It was a steady decline, and probably the finality of it was, I wouldn't say I was suicidal, but I found myself, and the conversation I had with my wife was, I had empathy for men or anybody that committed suicide. And just the fact I was feeling that way led me to start reaching out to see what was wrong with me. So in terms of the symptoms, again, full of anxiety, overthinking everything, libido. I've been married for 25 years and I find my wife as attractive as ever, but I found myself avoiding having sex or putting myself into those scenarios where she wanted to have sex, and it wasn't anything to do with me not wanting to be around her. There was zero desire there. I was procrastinating over things, and at the time I was serving as a retained firefighter alongside being an operations director for an engineering company. So I would literally sit in a room and just find myself looking into blank space. And I've always been an incredibly active person. So 2 years ago, I made some of the changes that Dr. Rob alluded to. I stopped drinking, I cleaned up my lifestyle, I prioritized sleep, I've always exercised, but the blood work kept coming back as bad, so I should just take that back a little bit. I went to the NHS, spoke to the doctor, he tested me and said, you're absolutely fine. No, one of the big problems, I don't know if it's still the case, but at the time, without diving too much into it, and if you've got any questions about it, Dr. Rob's the better person to ask. They test for total testosterone. So if you go to the doctors of any of these symptoms, if you're sitting here now thinking, do you know what, I can relate to that, you'll go to the doctors and they'll test you for total testosterone, which isn't the important number. And my total testosterone's always been absolutely fine. Symptoms didn't change, even though I changed so many different aspects of my life, and I just hit rock bottom. I left the fire brigade. A couple of things happened there which made the situation worse, and so I reached out to the men's health clinic, and I had a full blood panel done. And straight off the get-go, I'll always, the day I die, I remember when the results landed, I could finally hang my fucking hat on something as to why I felt the way I did. And it was because my total testosterone was fine, but my free testosterone, i.e. the number that's really important and the number that you can use, your body uses, was slammed. So I started my journey with TRT. That was 18 months ago, and probably within 3 to 6 months, I was dialed in, as they call it, and my blood work was coming back, and I am a completely different husband, I'm a completely different father, I'm a different operations director, I'm a different human being now. I've kind of forgotten what it was like to be optimal when I was younger, but that's how I live my life now. I feel like I'm living my life optimal, and it's one of the reasons I'm here when I was offered is because I've reached out to I've got a very small bubble of friends on social media and such, and I kind of like advocate TRT because rightly so, women's HRT is starting to pick up traction, but men's TRT is so behind the curve, it's ridiculous. And what it really boils down to is you guys taking accountability for your own health, because the NHS isn't geared up, it's preventative maintenance, it's not geared up to work alongside you to find that place where I found. And just again, very small group of people. My brother slammed free testosterone, probably 5 or 6. One in particular, I was going to say I don't mention his name, you of course won't know him, but one in particular person was suicidal, didn't know which way to turn, reached out, we've been speaking for a little while. Money was a significant issue for him, but he saved up the pennies to get a free blood panel because this isn't an expensive thing anymore. It used to be quite expensive, but I'm not too sure, like 80, 90 pounds, something like that. And he had no testosterone, none whatsoever, no total, no free, and he's in a very dark place. He's on his journey now. So when I was given the opportunity to come up and just say a few words, about my experience, it was a no-brainer for me. So all I can say is this: if any of the things that I've mentioned today resonate, then just get blood work done. You'll know, it'll put you in a much better place. And as Dr. Rob alluded to, there could be things that manifest in a certain way, but the root cause could just be that testosterone. And if you can get that dialed in, there's so many things in and around my life that weren't right, but what I now realize is by getting my testosterone in the right place, everything is just starting to fall into place again. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know and speak, that's all. So if there's any questions again, then obviously, of course.
Yeah, I think it boils down to the fact that you can't outthink your physiology. You know, a lot of you guys obviously train and you try and out-train your problems. Training is a necessary part of the process, but when you've actually got dysregulated physiology, you're going to send yourself into a worse state because you're going to become more cortisol dominant. And as Craig alluded to, it's necessary for you to take personal responsibility and take that first step. You know, whether it's through us or somewhere else. But the reality is, what you want to know is more information gives you more power. So there are a lot of online companies out there will sell you on a testosterone test, and it's an upsell to sell you the more comprehensive tests. So what you want to have is a comprehensive test. And then if it's through us, you're going to have a conversation with me, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to hear. A lot of patients, I say, you don't need TRT, you need to work on da-da-da-da-da, and they say thank you. It's like, because I'm not trying to sell you on testosterone replacement therapy, because you won't benefit from it unless you clinically need it. This isn't a sell game. This is always about acting in your best interests, and that will stay core to what we do.
But a round of applause for Dr. Rob Stevens.
Job done.
Job done.
How'd you feel?
Relieved. Not too many fuck-ups. It was imperfectly perfect, hopefully. It seemed to resonate with the guys. I think, you know, we're all very good at having masks up, but if somebody spells it out, black and white, people go, fuck, that's me. And it's like, oh. And again, the questions at the end, they just highlight the fact that people are interested in this subject because it's a super important subject. And fundamentally, as we say all the time, you know, you are your hormones, and you know, you can't outthink your physiology. It's a challenging endeavor to take that next step, and then you gotta fucking do it.